coming up on the official Celtic FC Podcast. Celtic FC Women's player Maria McAneny speaks about pre-season in Sweden, living the dream and scoring at paradise.
I love this club and I love Celtic, and to be able to actually say that you've scored at Celtic Park it's amazing. It's such an amazing feeling.
Hello and welcome to the official Celtic FC Podcast, the podcast of the champions. I'm your host, Matthew Campbell, and joining me today in the studio, I've got the Celtic Views, Laird, and we've got Celtic Women's very own Maria McAneny. Maria, we're going to get a wee chat about Flag Day, about the season ahead, how pre-season was. But thank you very much for agreeing to come here today.
Glad I'm here. Hopefully it'll be a good wee chat with you.
Yes, I think it will be. We've got Lewis here. Lewis, it's been an exciting start to the season so far for the men's first team, for the women's first team. Let's start off with Brendan Rodgers' side, who obviously had Flag Day here against Kilmarnock. We got a resounding victory. Then travelled to Easter Road, really convincing win there as well. What have you thought of how the guys have started the season?
Yeah, they've kicked it off really well, especially coming off the back of pre-season in the States. It was a really good sort of period over there, some really good wins, and it's always good to sort of just carry that on, especially here against Kilmarnock and then going away to Hibs. It was really impressive. Easter Road's been such a tough venue the last few years, but they made it they got the job done really, really well in the capital, which can always be hard going there, but it was a really good performance and perfect start to the season so far. What
do you think about the yellow away kit? Because I thought it looked tremendous at Easter Road in the sunshine. It's just a very Celtic-y looking away jersey, do you not think?
Yeah, the girls were wearing it in Sweden as well, so it was very on trend. But I think it looked like really nice. It's like you say, it's like when you see that sort of yellow Celtic away kit, you always feel it's really nice, and it does look. I'm a big fan.
I think it's one of the best years Adidas have had kit-wise. Like the home kit is fresh, like that is nice, and obviously the yellow kit is nice.
But also, can we just touch on the fact that Lewis is using patter like on trend here? It's brilliant. I've never heard him speak that before.
Been called out
as well as obviously the men's first team kicking off the season. Obviously, women's first team have done the exact same thing. Had Flag Day here at the weekend. As we are recording this, you're just off the back of a rather impressive 9-0 victory against Dundee United. You obviously have got a game coming up this weekend, but by the time this podcast comes out, that game will have already taken place. But just looking back to that Flag Day, Lewis, I know we watched it together just over there in the main stand. It was a wonderful occasion, a real piece of history. What were your sort of takeaways from the match?
Yeah, it's been a sort of really busy period, especially with pre-season. We mentioned the women have obviously just come back from Sweden, and it was straight back into Celtic Park, and you couldn't have asked for a much better start. 9-0 win. It's impressive as well. 3 years in a row of won 9-0 on the opening day, which is always great stat.
That's a great stat, absolutely.
I didn't know that actually either until you said in the interview after the game.
Surprise and
so 3 years in a row you've won 9-0 on the opening day of the season. That's something.
So impressive starting to continue that on trend.
Yeah. This is going to be a part of the whole podcast. I can feel it. Maria, brilliant to have you here. You had a wonderful day at the weekend here, Flag Day. We'll have a wee chat in a minute about the goals, but first of all, just tell us what it was like. I know you've been here before, played here before, had really wonderful memories and occasions, not least of all, obviously, when we win the title here. But Saturday was a bit different, first Flag Day. What was it like?
I think it was, obviously, it's a different experience. Like, there's been many times where I've been here and it's the men's Flag Day, since we've been champions for how many years now. But I think to have our own kind of Flag Day and to remember actually like what we did as a team, and it brought back a lot of memories. I think being here and seeing the fans, it was a sunny day the last time. It was sunny at the weekend, and see that way you're just looking here like, oh my god, like this time we were here, Amy G scores in the last minute, and that's probably all I could tell you about the rest of that day. But honestly, it was such a special occasion, and I don't think a lot of the foreign ones I've ever seen this kind of Flag Day thing before, so I know Elena didn't really know anything about it. So it was good for them to see that like that this is what we do here and this is what happens when you win. So yeah, it was really good.
And it's historic because it's never. Obviously, this is the first time we've won the title. It's incredible. We've spoke about that so much, but it's historic because it's never been done. You know, in terms in the women's game in this country, even having a flag day and just to have that. You're talking about that kind of. It's a recognition. It's a celebration, and it's a sort of a chance to reflect on that achievement of the season before. So it's a really positive step, isn't it?
100%. And I think as again like last season. We won the league, the men won the league, to then go out and 3 months later or 2 months later, whatever, we're having the flag day together, a week apart. Like it's huge, and it just shows you, but like what it means to so many people, and that this time next year we've got the same goals. We still want to be doing that this time next year. So I think that's a priority right now.
Absolutely. Lewis obviously watched the game. Really impressive performance. Some of the attacking play was just tremendous to watch. It was scintillating, a lot of it. The ball was moving at a hell of a pace. Talk to us about that, about the way that these guys played, and of course Maria's contributions to the resounding scoreline.
I know. I think Maria mentioned that at some points, there's been a lot of hard work in pre-season, and you can definitely see that come to fruition in that first game of the season, which sometimes it can be hard when you start a season. It takes a bit of time to get up to speed and stuff like that, but for sort of the entire 90 minutes, they were right at it, and started to get the goal in the first half, go 3 up, going into half time, and then to come out in that second half and put in that performance was so impressive. And it's just the ideal way you want to start the season, by setting down that marker. Yeah.
What about yourself then, Maria? You come off the bench and score 2 goals on Saturday. What was that feeling like, scoring at Celtic Park?
Honestly, like, unreal. My dad actually said to me before the game, if you get on today, like, I've got a weird feeling that you're going to score. And the last time he said that to me was like 2 years ago when I was on loan to Hearts, and I scored that day. So he never ever says it. And for them, like my mum and dad, to be there, and then like my family, like, it's a dream come true. You've came to games here for as long as I can remember being a kid, and like my dad said to me after the game, he was like, you're living my dream, like, and to be able to do that, and the amount of people that have said that to me is like, it's so emotional, because it's like, I love this club and I love Celtic, and to be able to actually say that you've scored at Celtic Park it's amazing. It's such an amazing feeling, and hopefully we've got many more games to come here, and many more goals hopefully, but they might not always be here, but just to contribute like that tiny wee bit. And the past few seasons that at times it comes down to goals, so like 1 goal, 2 goals, 3 goals, no goals, if you're assisting or whatever, like, see, as long as you're contributing, then it helps the team massively in the end run.
I think it's something about Dundee United as well. I think you scored your first goal for Celtic.
Yes, I did actually, yeah.
It's just something about Dundee United.
I forgot. I know. I actually did. So I forgot about that. But yeah, hopefully next time, like, when we were clapping the fans after the game, I just seen my dad looking over to me, and he was just shaking his head, and he's like this. I was like, he's a break, man.
He wanted the hat trick.
He wanted the hat trick. He was like, your last chance is the easiest one of them all. I was like, leave me alone. But
see, I mean, it's wonderful even to hear you saying that, that you turn around and say to you that, you're living his dream. That is emotional. That's a really emotional thing. But I'm just wondering, when the ball hits the net twice, which is even better than scoring one. What's better than scoring one? Scoring a brace at Celtic Park, obviously. But immediately when that ball hit the net, were you thinking of your family? Were you thinking about where they were?
You're just thinking of them. You're just like, God, like I said to, I think it might have been David or Liam after the game. I was like, I'm just so happy, like, because like, that's a dream. Like, even to play at Celtic Park, like, I've been there and I've done that, and I've played in front of the Green Brigade. I've played in front of the boys. And for like to then score, it just tops it off. And as I said, hopefully many more games and goals to come here. But it's such an amazing feeling, and for them to be there is even better.
Yeah, it's a wonderful start to the season. Obviously, that is such a great way to start. Obviously, 9 goals, tremendous. But a lot of new faces in amongst the setup as well. and some of whom, of course, contributed
Mhm.
at the
Yep,
weekend
yep.
with goals and good performances. How are the new signings sort of settling in?
I think that they've settled in brilliant. You know, like every single one of them are very different. And I think going into the season and like they're starting to see like Flag Day was perfect for them to see like what it actually means to loads of us here about Celtic, and like if you're here this time next year, this is what's going to be happening. Like, and this is what we are now expected to do. And even when you play with Celtic in general, you're expected to win. So I think getting that like mentality and stuff and showing them that like this is it. But the signings have been great, and you know, speaking to Saoirse after the game, like she was a big Celtic fan. She's obviously Irish, of course, and I think she really enjoyed it as well. So, and obviously Siggy getting her goal, which was a screamer. So, yeah, I think they're all set, and Bruna as well. God, there's so many. So I think when the like pre-season was very good, the trip in Sweden, I think it's brought us all closer. Like the team activity day, like that it just made everyone like together. And I think being able to go away just before the season start and have that games, and don't get me wrong, we won one game, but we also lost one game, and but we were all together. And I think the togetherness and all that you need to have here. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing them progress.
Yeah, well, you link me perfectly then into what we're going to come to, because obviously the season's just started and you're not long back, of course, from the pre-season trip that you went on to Sweden. Obviously, Lewis, in your role with the club media, you cover a lot of the women's first team activities and matches and so on. So you were over there in Sweden with the team. What was the trip like?
Yeah, no, it was unbelievable. You know, there was obviously a lot of. It was a very busy trip. You know, so much in with the 2 games and the training and stuff. But it was also sort of great opportunities, as Maria mentions, for the team to sort of bond, which were unbelievable. And I think you can even see that when you come back here on the pitch. You know how much stuff like that helps.
Yeah, absolutely. You were mentioning that yourself, the Maria, and the team activity. So I mean, you must have a few stories from the trip. Some of the stuff that was happening.
Yeah, I think like, you know, the speedboats. The day that Elena, she was like, right, okay, we're on the subway and all that getting here.
Yeah,
we're
nobody
still
knew what was
doing.
happening.
Yep, none of us knew what we were doing, and we arrived at this like pier bit, and there was a theme park in the distance. I was like, oh Christ, that's where we're going. The goalkeeping coach is terrified of heights, terrified of everything in the briefs. So he's cacking himself, and then it turns out that she'd hired 3 speedboats for us to all go on. These things were rapid. Like, I didn't expect them to be this fast. And then like we all went out on the speedboats for about an hour to this private island. We had our own like private house, like sauna, hot tub,
Wow.
the lot, like, and we just got to chill there for like the full afternoon, and just like the bond, like everyone had such a laugh, like pushing each other into the water and all that, and there was a diving competition that was so funny with the coaches. So it was amazing, and as I said, like having that bond on the pitch is different, but building relationships outside, it just helps like the pitch stuff even more. So yeah, it was an amazing time. And the day we landed, we'd done another activity that was quite good as well. It was about like rooms, and you had a challenge in each room.
So like escape rooms.
Yeah, kind of like that vibe.
How did you get on with that? Escape rooms are
difficult, like we weren't doing it, but even just watching them do it was absolute carnage.
Really,
There was just people running about.
But it was like each room was like either like a mental one, so it was like or like tactical, or it was a physical one. So there was ones where like monkey bars, and like you're climbing up walls with like ropes and all that. But like as I said, like just the bonding, being together was really good. So it was a very good trip, and I think most of the girls will say their highlight was the speedboats and the day out. It was amazing.
It sounds incredible, and the thing is as well, like you've obviously touched on it there, but obviously the actual work you're doing on the training pitch and the games that you would be playing over there, it's important in terms of getting the fitness and match readiness. But reading or hearing what you're saying there, and reading between the lines, that almost is secondary importance to like you say, that team bonding and getting to know each other, even getting to know some of the new signings as well.
Yeah, of course. And like, don't get me wrong, like Elena worked us really, really hard in pre-season. Really hard, but there's also like the balance of like in Sweden when we were on the pitch, when we were playing, like it was still the focus of how we want to play, the principles and how we play, like go out and do this, like that's objective. But also on the offside the pitch, like you've got time now, go and relax, like enjoy yourself. And I think it's like getting the balance between them, and like all the girls have worked so hard during pre-season, and like I'm just excited to see what the season brings, and hopefully there'll be more than one trophy this year for us, because it's so far with what I've seen, like the amount of work that we put in and how many times we're here, like we always have the laugh and joke, because like we're with each other more than our family. I think all of us are sick of each other when it comes to the end of the week, especially when you're living together for a week. But I think pre-season it's been really good, and as you said, like the balance of like this is what we need to go out and do on the pitch, but also having the balance of the offside, and like you can chill out now.
Absolutely, and hopefully, like you say, it's setting up to be an exciting season. In fact, I'm just thinking then with the Sweden thing, because when you came back, I was asking Lewis, like food.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when people go to other countries, I want to know what the food is like. So you brought back a bunch of sweets for us. They are
for the shop.
They're horrendous, right?
Oh.
They're the worst sweeties. I mean,
some of them
they're salty.
Oh, the licorice. Oh, they were bad.
The salted ones.
Oh.
They're salty licorice soup. I mean,
That
licorice
was-
is kind of acquired taste anyway. But then why would you put salt?
Oh, it was actually the last night, and everyone just wanted pizza for dinner. And some of the girls we had dinner and stuff, and then some of the girls went out to get stuff to take home.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's when a lot of people went to the shop and get all their pick and mixes and all that. And we were all in the shop, and I think one of the girls just like put their hand in, took about 5 of them, right, try these. We were all in the shop, nearly whiting our pan in, because spitting it all out, being like eating all the other sweets that we just bought.
By the way, no offence to any Swedish viewers or listeners who love the salty sweets,
but they are horrendous.
But you need to try Tangfastics or something, because it's a different world.
Yeah, they were awful. But to be fair, some of the sweets, I brought some stuff home, and I think all the good ones. There's just this packet of sweets in the kitchen that haven't been touched yet. I think maybe 3 have been eaten because
they'll sit there
rotten.
for years.
Yep.
They'll end up in the back of a cupboard, and then like I don't know, 5 years time you go, what's that?
Yep.
And you know, because of how salty
Stale,
they'll
yep.
they'll only be stale. They'll be perfectly preserved, exactly the same condition. No, brilliant, and obviously it sounds like it's been a great trip. And Lewis, these guys are shaping up for hopefully another exciting season and defence of the title.
Yeah, he's obviously been busy since coming back from Sweden, but obviously that just continues in the next few weeks. You know,
Yeah.
Glasgow City this weekend, as you touched on, but then even Motherwell midweek, Aberdeen, and it all leads up into the Champions League as well. So there's plenty to come, and it's a really exciting time going forward.
Absolutely, it's very exciting. Maria, let's come away from sort of the action, the football action as it's happening now. I'm just sort of curious, get to know yourself a little bit as well. You're obviously here. You're living the dream. You're living your dad's dream as well, by the sounds of it. But you know, did you always want to be a football player from when you were growing up?
I think it was always, you know, when I was younger, it was very much like, you know, football was. I honestly don't remember watching women's football at all. It was always like Celtic down south, the men's teams. Like, I honestly don't remember it at all. But I remember like my first Christmas, my dad gets me Celtic. Everyone just grew up with Celtic. I was just growing up with everything Celtic, and you wanted to play football. You wanted to be a footballer. And I think because the environment that I was brought up in is like it's always just been so football orientated. I didn't actually think about being really anything else, or wanting to do anything else. It was always just football. But obviously that doesn't last forever. So I enjoyed school and stuff as well. But like as you said, I don't honestly remember thinking I want to do something else. I think when obviously I can't play football anymore, I'll need to do something like active. Like I couldn't sit in an office for that would be my worst nightmare. So it'll need to be something active. But yeah, I honestly can't think of a time where I didn't ever want to not be a footballer.
So did you like getting like a club then, or
Yeah,
how did it go?
So I was with a boys team in East Kilbride where I stay since I was about 4, and I played with them up until I was 14. So and my dad took the team when I was younger and stuff, and then I trained with Celtic. It was actually David when I was about 9. I trained like maybe twice a week with Celtic. It was still my boys team, but back then like the best thing to do, and I would say this to anyone now as well, is play with boys for as long as you can, because it is a lot faster, the game, and it's a lot more physical. So if you're used to that when you're coming into then play girls football, it will help you a lot. And then I signed with Celtic when I was 14, and I've been here ever since. I obviously went on loan to Hearts for a season when I was 17. And that's when like I done the apprenticeship that year with Celtic. So I think I've been very fortunate in that sense that I never, and I was in school when it was COVID, so I've never actually sat an SQA exam. So but like that's when we weren't allowed invigilators, so the exam was done throughout the school. So I had done my 5th year, and then Celtic offered me the apprenticeship, and it was a no-brainer. I didn't want to stay in 6th year and just take subjects for the sake of it. So I've been very fortunate in that sense, and like I can't imagine doing another job, because football's all I've done. Like that's the only job I've ever had. So yeah, I'd say like it's just it makes it, when you say it like that you've never actually had another job and this is all you've done, it puts it into perspective. So hopefully many years to come, but again, you can't do this forever, so need to think about that when the time's closer.
Yeah, and I suppose for yourself, it's kind of that way of enjoying all those moments as they're happening. You know, people, it's all cliche, and people always say, "Oh, football's a short career, whatever." But I mean, when it's filled with wonderful moments like winning cups and winning league titles, scoring at Celtic Park, I mean, that obviously surely that makes it all worth it.
Oh, of course,
all the
and
sacrifice.
like everything that you like, as you said, like football. Like I feel like I've not really had that normal kind of. I'm not a teenager anymore, but like that teenage life and that kind of life that you have grown up, because I've always just been in football. So like all the sacrifices that you do back then, the not going out with your friends, etc. But like it's all worth it. Like I want to be able to look back, and hopefully when I stop playing football when I'm 10 years to 15 years, and be like I am happy with what I done. Like I'm proud of what I done, but like now it's something else that you don't ever want to regret anything. So I think you put in the work now, and then you can look back and say, oh, I've done this and I've done that. And I think for when I have kids, hopefully one day, like I want to be able to tell them, like, go and you can go and do whatever you want. Like if you put your mind to it, go and do it. Because I never expected to be here today. So I think if you work hard, like you can do anything.
Absolutely. And when it's all done, you could open up a sweet shop and just sell
I'm
nothing but salty liquors.
To be fair, actually, I could live in Sweden thinking about that. That was one thing.
Like you go into that shop and it was just full of
sweets, and there was hundreds of coffee shops there. That was the best bit. You could just go out
different one every day.
But the coffee was nice.
Milk
like you wouldn't just you weren't just walking down the shop and getting a pure crap coffee. It was really nice, and it was a very clean country. I thought.
Very,
No, it sounds like it's been brilliant. But I'm going to come back there to your talk about growing up supporting Celtic and stuff like that. So who were your Celtic heroes when you were growing up?
Well, my dad always says like his one, and I obviously grew up knowing Henrik Larsson. But I think like I always remember Kieran Tierney. Like he came through the academy, like myself, and he obviously got his big move a few seasons ago now. But that way that he was, I remember like the one example. I must have been about 14, and we won the league here against Rangers. We won 5-1, and like Kieran Tierney's playing, and like. For me, that you look at that and you be like, wow, like he's came through the academy, he's just won the league against them at here. Like that's a dream, and I think Kieran's done like so well for himself in the fact that he's now down. Well, he was down in Arsenal. He's went to Celtic? No, Real Sociedad. So like he's one to look out for, or like one that I always looked out for growing up, and obviously. like Callum McGregor now as well.
Yeah.
He just controls the team, and I think for him coming through, there's so many as well, like James Forrest, Ralston. I think when you have that, and it's good. That's one thing that I think is good, is having, like, for example, Kelly and Craigie as well. Were always people that when I was in the academy you look up to, because they've been there for so long and they are Celtic fans themselves. And I think that's, like, to have that in a team is just as important as having your foreign players for other countries coming in, because they can show them, like, what it means to play for Celtic.
And the thing is, Lewis, as well, like, in a, Marie, you're talking there about looking up to players like Kieran or Cam McGregor or James Forrest or whoever's come through the academy, but similarly there'll be young players, there'll be young girls who are getting into football who'll be looking at likes of Maria and using her as inspiration, which is obviously really special.
No, absolutely. And I think every so often you'll maybe see a shirt at a game that will maybe have McAneny or somebody's name in the back. It's always sort of nice to think now that, Maria touched on, maybe when she was younger she didn't really watch women's football as much, but now you've sort of got that opportunity to watch her even come here at Celtic Park, see Flag Day, and it's just unbelievable that they can sort of follow that dream now as well.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I'm waiting on another few questions left, but just it's just interesting to obviously get to hear your story, your side of things, how your sort of career has developed to this point that you're sitting here as a Celtic first team player, you're scoring at Celtic Park. But I'm wondering, away from football, you're obviously football obsessed. You've always been football obsessed all through your life, which is handy. You're a football player. But what away from football, what sort of hobbies have you got? What else do you get up to?
Hobbies, that's a good question. To be fair, as you say, like, football is just, it's like bang 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 all the time. I feel like it's one of the jobs that it's 24/7. You can't really not at all be thinking about it at times. But sometimes hobbies, I honestly don't know. I think sweet shops. Don't mind going for a coffee, etc. with some of my friends. But I think me and my partner sometimes go up to the driving range. I don't mind that. But a little bit of switch off.
So, but are you, like, I've got to say, do you play golf? Do you play golf, or are you just hitting?
You just kind of, it's just something to do, isn't it? At times, like, be able to switch off and you get any frustrations, bang. But
did you watch any of the Olympics?
Yes.
Out of all of those sports, right? In the football, you can't pick football, and because you go to driving, you can't pick golf either. Out of all of those sports, what sport do you fancy having a shot at the most?
If I could actually do it, see, like, the gymnastics and all that, that's insane. See, being able to do all the flips and all that. Maybe we can do a backflip and a forward flip and a trampoline. That's about it. But I think, like, but it's different because they're just completely different types of athletes. And actually watching, I don't really like rugby, but see the rugby sevens, that's intense. That's brutal. Obviously, the game isn't very long, but you're like the big pitch, and you're only playing with 7 people, like, in your team, which is really impressive. But there's loads of things in the Olympics, like the swimming, the running, the triathlons, all that. Like, these people train so hard for. But I think for me but then the badminton as well. The badminton's quality.
I don't think you ever hear a person say that they weren't decent at badminton when they were younger.
Well,
there's always.
I'm quality.
I'm good at badminton. I was really good at badminton when I was younger.
We should go for a game, but you're wearing joggies. I'll be put off with the pins.
Wait, hold on, mate. Before we move on any further here, we're going to have to explain what that is a reference to. So
Lewis turned up to training when we were in Sweden with shorts on.
In the roasting hot Swedish weather.
And I think it's the first time 90% of the team, 95% of the team seen him in shorts. And we were all slaughtering them. And the next day I had joggies on.
Why are you slaughtering them? But, though?
They're a bit peely-wally, aren't they? Needs to hit the sunnies, I think.
You got Lithuania getting the tan before we go.
Absolutely. Honestly. I feel bad. You've been slagged here on trend. The legs.
Listen, you've got to take it.
Sorry,
we
we'll
were
big
walking
it back
into
up.
the thing, the people doing the tour are clapping because he's got joggies on.
Yeah, you've been roasted today, Lewis. You come back next time, we'll be better for you, honestly, I believe in you. So we'll finish up with a nice question away from Lucy's pins, his lanky legs. What, Maria, what advice would you give to any young girls who dream of pulling on the hoops and playing for Celtic?
I think it's just like the hard work, like the dedication that you need to have, and like the sacrifices. Like I think that, and like doing, I would say like the sacrifices and like the hard work, but also like the 1%. Like do something that you know someone's not. See if it's you go to the pitch and you do 10 sprints, but who else in your team's doing that? So, and if you continue to do that, you're going to be 1% better than them. And I think it's doing that, and it's the things that people don't see. It's very cliche saying, but I think it is, and it's everything that you can have the success, and everyone sees that, but it's everything away from that people don't see. And as I touched on, like being in school and like kind of not having that normal teenage life, as you would kind of say, I think that myself, like being able to say no, I can't come out, I've got a game, or I'm not coming out today, or like you're not, like I don't really like get involved with alcohol unless we win the league. But it's one of the ones where you're just like do the 1%, and if you do the 1%, then as you said, they'll add up. So I would say that's my advice.
Brilliant. Well, listen, thank you very much for joining us on the podcast today. Are you alright? Are you alright?
He's a bit flustered, I think.
I know, you're alright, you're fine. Don't worry.
Slagging.
You need it, listen, it's the start, so you bring it down a peg. You've been swagging about, bragging about your legs, so I'm glad you're coming in here. No, but listen, thank you very much for coming in. It's an exciting start to the season for both teams, Lewis, and
Absolutely.
an exciting couple of weeks ahead.
Yeah, definitely. As I touched on, there's a lot to come, so hopefully continue the perfect start to the season and more to come.
Absolutely, and thank you very much for joining us for today's episode. Make sure, of course, that you like and follow wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you very much, and hail hail.